that you gave us some seed.
We want to welcome everybody today to Mom and Dad Talks. Our favorite two people are Mom and Dad. We have Hantie. Hey, Hantie, how y'all doing? Good to see you all. And unfortunately, we're talking about the passing of John Amos. He was in a lot of shows. Primarily, he was on Good Times, and I believe Coming to America 1 and 2. And the thing about it is that he was in a lot of other movies and shows he was in. However, it's interesting how in the 70s, for those of you who don't know, there were not a lot of black shows in the 70s. Good Times was one of them, and it portrayed a struggling family. And Esther Roll, when they did it, she didn't want to have a single family. She said she wanted to have a husband, and she said, I wanted John Amos to be my husband. And she fought to get him on there.
Wow.
And for the first time in history for black families, they saw a black father in the home. Granted, it was in a poor family. However, that's all we had because the networks didn't want to portray us in a positive light. It was always stereotypical. And even though looking at some of the things, it was somewhat stereotypical. However, he fought to kind of change that attitude where it wasn't totally stereotypical. And there were a lot of fights over that. And unfortunately, eventually, there was a parting of the ways. And that's when the famous episode of when John Amos died. The dad died on Good Times. And it's like, everybody in the nation was just shocked that he died because he was such, seeing a father figure in the home, a black father figure in the home. But you guys lived through a lot of those eras of not seeing blacks on TV. Eventually you saw, moving on up. You eventually saw. Would you say? Yeah, you eventually saw
George
yeah,
Jefferson.
the Jeffersons.
Well, you know what? Before then, when we were growing up, Amos and Andy were our role models back then. I mean, that's what TV put on for us to watch, to mimic, I guess.
Well, they tried to portray us as being buffoons.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of buffoonery in Amos and Andy. And actually on radio, Amos and Andy was portrayed by two white men.
Right. Acting black.
Yes, and they were acting black and talking black.
Yeah.
Yeah, so really Amos and Andy, when it came on TV, really showed buffoonery. And the black man not being very intelligent.
Right, yeah.
And you still see those themes in Hollywood. Black people are not intelligent, and it's very, very scary and stuff. And it's just like, if they get lucky to figure it out. They always want to portray us as, well, you got lucky, and by looking at that kind of stuff, it's really a lot. So and seeing John Amos, try to change that stereotype. And let's just be real, just looking on what he was talking about, they had a lot of white writers writing for black families,
black shows.
I think Sanford and Son was one of the very few ones that had black writers during that time frame. And it's kind of interesting, it's like, what if black people were writing for other cultures?
Yeah.
How would they feel about that? You know what I'm saying?
They don't care.
No, they do care when we're writing about them, but they don't care when they're writing about us because it's how they want to view the world.
Right. Or the world to view black people.
Right. Yeah. But we're so diverse, and there's so much culture in our culture. I mean, Hantie and Uncle Frank and my mom and dad, they never divorced. I didn't grow up in a split family. There's a lot of people that didn't grow up in a split family, and I have a lot of people in my family who didn't. But the portrayal is always single parent home, dad ain't there and stuff. And so, back to John Amos, it was, him trying to fight. I can just imagine the fights that he had every episode. And the thing about it is, if he didn't do it right, he would lose a job because it's so hard for black people just to get a job in Hollywood. So what are your all's thoughts on that?
We have that. My thought is that we have to overachieve in order to get recognition. Whatever we do, as in fact, maybe I should use my own self as an example. Whatever I have to perform, whether it's on a job
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's in my music, whatever wherever people have to notice me,
Mm-hmm.
I have to put forth a real effort I don't like to say outdo,
Well,
but to
to keep to do something, you have to be twice as good.
correct.
And let's
Yeah,
just be real,
yeah,
folks.
right.
When you guys were coming up, and you still have remnants of that, a lot of remnants of that, of got to be twice as good in order to keep the same
Recognized
job,
or to be
and that
recognized.
or to be recognized, and that is the era you guys grew up in, because of racism is just real, and it's still real, hasn't gone away.
No.
You know, that's the one thing that never goes out of style is racism. I've always been wondering about it, and like I said, we're talking about John Amos, and to see him going through and hearing him talk about the racism he endured, especially during the 70s, when it was hard for Black folk to really get decent jobs. If you did get a decent job, you got to do everything to keep it. You don't want to upset the fruit basket.
Overachieve. You have to overachieve on
Yeah.
it.
And I might say that the black man has always been a target.
Yeah.
Always. Now, the black woman, they'll let her slide by.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And they'll put a black woman ahead of a black man.
Well, it's starting to change a little bit with Black women, but however, it's always been a target for in this country to attack the Black man. It's just history has proven it. You can study it.
Right, and we saw that with Barack Obama when he became president. There was a certain political system that wouldn't pass anything that had his name on it.
Yeah.
If Barack Obama's name was on it, we're not going to pass that bill.
And so
he had to overachieve in order to be. In fact, one person wanted to see his birth certificate because he thought he was not born in the United States. And to be president, you have to be a natural born citizen. And that person didn't realize that Hawaii was part of the United States
at the time.
He flunked civics.
Well, he was, like I said, but we
was in the closet.
We want to put our prayers out for the Amos family for losing an icon, a trailblazer in the just in American culture and American history. Yes, Hantie.
I was listening to a commentary on John Amos just the other morning, and I was surprised to know that he was viewed as a very intelligent man outside of the role he played on Good Times, and how his community looked up to him, and he always tried to make peace and have peace he was a peaceful man. And so that goes a lot further than kicking up a whole lot of sand and being a felon here and there. But that goes a long way. Yeah. I just hope and pray that that he knew the Lord and knew that he's coming after the Lord is coming back for you, having that kind of character.
And I believe he was also in Roots, which was really an astonishing thing, because Roots really showed a lot of evil of slavery. And if you haven't had a chance to wonder why slavery is gone in America, have a chance to look at Roots. And Roots is even though it's very graphic, it's still not enough how evil slavery really is and was. People want to sanitize it. They want to make it like it's not so bad. It was horrible. If you see the way people are being treated now, it was worse in slavery, folk. Women were raped. So, you got to understand the negativity. Men were molested. This is just the thing. So like I said, he was really a part of my life growing up, looking at him, and a lot of stuff that he did. And so, in fact, what I found out is he was a veteran of the 50th Armored Division of the New Jersey National Guard and honorary Master Chief of the United States Coast Guard.
Hmm.
So, he was also, served this country. So, like I said, we're gonna miss him. Wish to pray for the family and hope that we can have people to try to always fight to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because the fight is still here, folks. It's not, racism is not going away. Stereotypes are not going to go away, but you can beat it by saying, I will not participate nor try to show it. So anyway, any final thoughts before we let everyone go? All right. Well, folks, let's pray for the Amos family, and just remember, make a difference. Make a positive difference and break down stereotypes this week. All right. Till next time, we'll see you on Mom and Dad Talks. Bye.
Right.